Everybody. Welcome back to Sarkey Farmstead, friends and family. All right, guys of the internet, y'all have been smashing it, reaching out to me across the different social media platforms, bringing me into awareness of what is actually happening in this crap show we call political arena. Okay, so you guys already know the drill, but let me remind all the new people. Hit the like button, drop a comment, say who you are, where you're watching from. I'd just like to know where you guys all are at. My name is Samantha. I'm the owner and operator of a 2-acre farmstead located in Southeast Louisiana. So I started off as an educator in the public school system. I have a master's degree plus 21 hours, certified across 4 areas: special education, English as a second language, early childhood, and K through 6. So that's a little bit about me. Now I'm an organic farmer who just tries to make it, just trying to figure out what we call the world. Hi, everybody. Yes, it's like waiting. We're literally waiting with hip boots on over here through the crap. Like, what is real? What is psyop, folks? And I think we need to start there. That's a great place to start. So earlier today, I was on X and I was looking at a few things, and I ran across this sob story. I'm gonna let you guys hear it for yourselves, and then we're gonna discuss it because I think she's full of poo.
Just getting people with criminal records. They are doing checkpoints. And with the immigrant, so this is what happened yesterday. My mom got pulled over at 10 a.m. outside of the house. But my mom is a citizen. She does have a citizenship to America. So they pulled her over and they advised her that they have a checkpoint and that they need to see her driver license or documentation. So my mom showed her ID and they let her go. This morning, my dad was pulling out to leave. My mom was going to meet him out in the front because they were going to take the same car, but they were just going to park the other car out on the street. And as my dad was pulling out, a bunch of undercovers, pulled him over and asked him for a driver license and said, we are doing a checkpoint. We need to see, driver license, etc. Obviously, my dad is an immigrant. My dad does not have documentation. So obviously they detained my dad. So my mom pulled over and she called me crying. The unfortunate part is that I'm in Texas because it's my grandpa's 90th birthday party, his dad's birthday party today. So, my mom, he had left his phone in the truck. I took him to the center, and then my dad called my mom from there and told her, they're taking me straight to Las Vegas. They have executive orders to pick up whoever is illegal, is an immigrant, and send them straight through. Not even put them in the jail. They're going to detain them at the Las Vegas Detention Center. All the immigrants that are already there, they're going to go drop them off in TJ. He left his phone in the truck. Luckily, the ICE detainee or police officer let my mom take his phone back so he can call us when he does get to TJ. So they met her at the gate. My mom said, my daughter wants to speak to you. We have a lawyer. And he said, we're not getting involved with that. We have executive orders to shoot whoever's undocumented straight back. Not even put them in the jail system, just shoot them straight back. So it's not just criminal records, you guys. This is all immigrants are doing checkpoints. They're not caring about your rights. They don't care about the law. They're out there raw.
Okay, so let's break that down.
Just getting people with criminal records.
They don't care about the law. They're just out there raw. There is a law that says that you can't be in this country illegal. So let's break down what she said. First, she says, Mom got pulled over close to the house the day before, but she is a citizen. Then Dad's back in the car, just out of the driveway, just minding his own beeswax, just, backing up in his own driveway. And ICE just rolls up on this unsuspecting human because somewhere in the vicinity is a checkpoint. That right there made no sense. But people don't care about what makes sense. They're watching her crocodile tears. Oh, my dad. So my question is, how long have your parents been here? If your mom is a citizen, why is your dad not? Because if they're married by American law, he too is a citizen. So are your parents unmarried, or are you completely full of crap? So let me tell you something. Soros has been buying up all of the news stations, radio stations, newspapers. You guys already know all that. So what are they going to do now? Now that all these NGOs are no longer going to be getting millions and millions of dollars every year from the federal government to bring in these illegal aliens into this country, like Catholic Charities and a few others I've pointed out over the years to you guys. What they're going to do is they're going to start taking their funding and putting out propaganda like this. They're going to pay paid actors like this young woman that nobody can dispute her argument. I mean, you can't prove it, but you can't necessarily dispute it either. She looks like she could be an immigrant. And what they're going to do is they're going to start doing these sob stories. They're not just taking the criminals, they're taking everybody. The point is that if you're here illegally, you are a criminal. That is the point. That is fact. If I went to court with you right now and you tried to tell a judge, if you're an illegal citizen, that you didn't break a law, they would tell you that you were wrong. So let's talk about fact, not emotion, not opinion. What does the law in America say? 8 U.S. Code 1324A1A. Any person who encourages or induces an alien to come to, enter, or reside in the United States, knowing or in reckless disregard of the fact that such coming to, entry, or residence is or will be in violation of law, shall be punished as provided. Imprisoned not more than 5 years. In the case of a violation in which the offense was done for the purpose of commercial or financial gain, imprisonment not more than 10 years. In the case of a violation during in relation to which the person causes seriously bodily injury to or places in jeopardy the life of any person, imprisoned not more than 20 years. In other words, anybody helping an illegal come into this country and that illegal hurts you, the person who helped the illegal, if you can prove it, they could go to prison for 20 years. In the case of a violation resulting in the death of any person, be punished by death or imprisoned for any term of years or for life. Laken Riley's parents should bring a lawsuit against anybody, any politician that promoted Sanctuary City where they live, because by the law they can. In the United States versus Hansen, 599 U.S. Code 762 in 2023, the U.S. Supreme Court upheld the constitutionality of this statute and affirmed the 20-year sentence of Hellman Hansen for multiple counts of mail fraud, wire fraud, and encouraging or inducing illegal immigration for financial gain. Folks, let me explain something to you. I'm hearing this a lot across all social media platforms. Well, what about illegal aliens that have a job, that pay taxes, and that, have a home? That we need to do something so those folks can stay. No, we should not. I don't care if you've been here 5 months, 5 weeks, 5 years. The point is, and listen to me closely, because for some reason Americans are a little uneducated on this topic. If you are an illegal alien, you don't have a tax identification number. Do you know what your tax identification number is? Does anybody here know what they use as your tax identification number? Somebody put it in comments. I'm just going to wait. Thank you. Is it coffin form or fam? It's your social security number, folks. When you file your taxes, you're filing it under your Social Security number, unless you have an EIN number, which is for businesses. So most of you don't. Hey, Marty. So you have to have a Social Security number to file taxes. So if you are here illegal, you don't pay taxes. I'm so sick of hearing uneducated people weigh in on a topic you know nothing about. Now, here's the kicker. They can still get food stamps. They can still get housing vouchers. They still get cash allotments, disability, Social Security, free education, free medication, free dental, free medical, you name it, baby, because they're illegal aliens and NGOs and states pay for it. But they don't have a Social Security number because they're an illegal alien. If you're here on a work visa, you're given an identification number to file your taxes. So if you're here illegally, no one's ever given you an identification number. Therefore, you cannot be paying taxes. That is a fact. In fact, most illegal immigrants own their own companies working for cash, or they're working under the table for cash. Now, here's the problem with that. An illegal alien that's working under the table doesn't get workman's comp benefits if they're injured. They have no recourse if the company doesn't pay them or sexually harasses them. If it's something that's illegal, they're going to do it because they're here illegally, right? They don't want to get caught and they want a job. So they're going to do anything somebody hands them cash to do. So you're not helping these people by saying illegal aliens need to stay because they pay taxes and they have a job. You're actually putting them in danger. You're allowing the corporations that we're all supposed to be fighting against, you're allowing them to win. When they bring in illegal immigration for work, it is slave labor. And if you're too dense to see it, I don't know what to do to help you, because it's not hard to see what they're doing. The Democrats' argument for the Civil War was, but without slaves, who will pick the crops? That was in 1850. In 2020, but without illegal immigrants, who will pick the crops? It's the same argument 170 years apart. There it is. That's it in a nutshell, folks. I don't know how people don't see it. It's great to get on a bandwagon, to fight for something that is important to fight for, guys. It really is. But why are you not fighting for the elderly people who can't pay property taxes and are losing their homes that they worked all their lives to pay off? The homes are paid off, but due to property taxes, they're losing their homes and share sales. Why isn't anybody fighting for that? Why is anybody out there saying we're going to get American homeless off the streets? We're going to get our veterans off the streets. I don't care about illegal aliens. They shouldn't be here. They're breaking the law the second they put their big toe over that invisible line. Now, I know that sounds harsh, but I have been watching Americans scrape to get by for 2.5 years. I've seen so many people reach out to me. Sam, I lost my child. I don't have money to bury them. Sam, my animal was injured. I don't have money to take them to the vet. That happened to me when someone shot my dog. Why do not Americans have enough money to pay for things in their own country? Why are we concerned about invaders? 30 million men. Now, there were a few women and elderly people and children speckled in there, but really, let's talk about the children. Why is the left not discussing the fact that Mayorkas illegally stopped without notifying Congress, I might add, DNA testing at the border. Why did they stop that? Well, because if you find a body of a child, but there's no DNA evidence of who that child is, then we can sweep it under the rug. But if there's a DNA trail leading that child back to the border and then you find the body or a whole lot of bodies, you got a problem, don't you? Because then we can link it to who did it. So they've been bringing in illegal children across the border for 4 years under Biden and Harris. And not just a few kids, guys, it's over 300,000. Now, here recently, they have found some of those children. Let me find it.
There are over 300,000 missing children in the U.S., migrant children, mind you. And Trump has already found 80,000 of them, and he hasn't been in office for about a week. Not to be rude, but what the hell was Biden doing? The administration said that, yes, we know that there are missing children, and you know what? We're determined to go ahead and locate them. Meanwhile, the numbers just keep going up and up and up, and nobody has an answer as to why. I don't know, guys. It's looking real fishy to me. Real fishy. Because in a week, a lot has been done in the past 4 years. But I knew something was a little bit fishy when they started just removing DNA testing as of May of 2023, something like that. The end of May, but beginning of June of 2023, they ended DNA testing. So how are people at the border able to determine family members? You know, I could just say I'm with anybody without DNA testing. It's just weird. Now we wait for those children to speak. Because what the hell? What the hell? Okay, so
we wait for those children to speak. Here's my thoughts on that. Finding them is not the same as rescuing them. Understand the terminology. They've located. You can locate a body. I'm just saying, somebody on here just asked, do you guys consider Native American citizens? Sometimes I love reading y'all's comments, but sometimes I feel like I'm fixing to get snarky. So let me just put it out there. Native Americans are First Nation people. They're American too. Even though they want to put their tribal identity first, they're still on American soil technically. That's how I feel. So I'm not sure what your question was indicating, but there you go. Now, let me tell you guys also about the kids.
Were sexually assaulted. Yes, they were forced into labor that isn't appropriate for children under the age of 18. Yes, they're told that they have to pay off their debts when they get here, and they don't know what that means. Does that mean having sex? Does that mean doing some form of indentured servitude until they pay off their debts? It's the most inhumane way that any child could ever enter the country, and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris created that pathway.
Ms. Marcos, you testified a moment ago to Senator Butler that every child gets a Know Your Rights presentation. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is that before or after you release them to labor traffickers?
Senator, every child that comes into our care gets a Know Your Rights presentation.
Have you read that children are scrubbing dishes? They are operating heavy machinery. They are delivering meals. They are harvesting coffee. They are working construction. They are working as housekeepers. They are working overnight shifts at plants where they are not paid. They are not going to school. They are not cared for. They are not getting meals. Almost all of it illegally. Are you aware of that? That's a yes or no.
Yes.
Do the Know Your Rights presentation help them in those situations?
Senator ORR.
That's a yes or no, I think. Do you really think that you're helping these children by releasing them to labor traffickers and, yes, sex traffickers? 85,000 children whom you have no contact with, and your answer is we gave them a presentation before we turned them over to these people who are exploiting them on a scale not seen in this country for 100 years, a century. Do you do home visits in all cases? You can actually see where these children are being released, whose care you're putting them in?
We do not do home visits in all cases. Senator, I'd really like the opportunity to talk about what we...
Let's look at what the secretary said to you. Mr. Becerra, the secretary, told the ORR director, that's you, right? Extraordinary times call for extraordinary people.
Yes.
That if she could not increase the number of discharges, he would find someone who could. That if Henry Ford had run his plants.
So that just tells you right there. They admitted they lost these kids. I understand what you're saying, Maddie. She said, I'm just asking because I'm concerned the end of birthright citizenship could negatively affect the Native American rights. How? You heard that on social media. Somebody told you it's going to affect the Indians. The Native Americans are going to lose their citizenship. Oh my God, the Republicans are going to put us all in concentration camps. I'm just saying, guys. That's what they're going to say because it's called fear mongering. Maddie, there is no evidence to that. Native Americans get a social security number just like you and I. They are American. Now, I'm going to show you guys something about birthright citizenship. I hope all of you have the attention span for this.
That birthright citizenship is not the policy of our federal government. I've been studying this issue of birthright citizenship for many years now, and I'm going to explain to you what the 14th Amendment actually says. Because the 14th Amendment does not establish birthright citizenship. And for those out there who are lawyers or even armchair lawyers who want to talk to me about Wong-Kim Ark, don't worry, we're actually going to discuss that too. But the 14th Amendment actually states all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. The addition of the language and subject to the jurisdiction thereof is the key to understanding why birthright citizenship, as it is applied in modern times, is not justified by the 14th Amendment and is unconstitutional. There is evidence to this as well. When you look at the congressional record at the debate of the 14th Amendment, you see that the authors of the 14th Amendment, specifically Senator Howard from Michigan, establishes the understanding of the term and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. In this congressional record, it says, this will not, of course, include persons born in the United States who are foreigners, aliens, who belong to the families of ambassadors or foreign ministers accredited to the government of the United States, subject to the jurisdiction thereof. By the intent of the drafters of the 14th Amendment, language means that you don't get to come on a visitor's visa, you're not a foreigner, on our soil, dropping a baby and calling it American. Under proper application of constitutional law principles, if you are confused about the term within the Constitution, you don't get to go to the courts and make it up. The first place you have to go is the intent of the drafters. The intent of the drafters is recorded in congressional record. Birthright citizenship is not an intention of the 14th Amendment. It is an invention of activist judges. I have been confronted by those who have been miseducated and misinformed about the proper application of the 14th Amendment and birthright citizenship. And they're always saying, Wong-Kim Ark, you lose. Okay? If you are repeating to me Wong-Kim Ark as a justification that someone on a visitor visa can come to Disneyland, have a baby, and now that baby is a citizen, you are either ignorant, illiterate, or have never actually read yourself the opinion in Wong-Kim Ark, because that is a very disingenuous presentation of the facts from that opinion. Wong did not establish jus soli, or birth on the soil, as a constitutional doctrine for every baby born within the boundaries of the United States. Quite to the contrary, the court specifically, narrowly tailored their opinion to Wong's specific circumstances. Wong's parents, the court decided, was subject to the jurisdiction thereof because Wong's parents were permanent legal residents under the China-U.S. treaty called the Burlingame Treaty. This opinion did not address children born to temporary visitors. This His opinion did not address children born to illegal aliens, and any broader interpretations beyond Wong's interpretation of subject to the jurisdiction thereof is beyond the specified facts of this case. Now, Wong itself applied a judicial revision authority by establishing that a legal resident alien, their child, would be subject to the jurisdiction thereof based on their legal permanent residence in the United States, where the original intent of the 14th Amendment was not to include foreigners at all, aliens of any kind. So the Supreme Court in Wong did create an expanded definition of subject to the jurisdiction thereof, diverging from the intent of the 14th Amendment and its drafters. But it did not create the modern misapplication and broader interpretation used by today's legal analysts and experts and even professors and politicians. So I can't wait for Trump to challenge this federal judge. I have even contemplated submitting.
I tell you what, that is Chris Ann Hall. Chris Ann Hall. She's out of Tampa. She is a constitutional attorney. She's fabulous. I've actually talked to her on the phone. Amazing woman of God. All right. So people are saying that they're hearing that in Nevada. Let me look this up. In Arizona. Okay. They're saying that the Navajo are being caught up by ICE. So let me look it up. Let me look it up. Give me 1 second. Here's one from CNN. I guess I could have expected that. Navajo Nation leaders raise alarm over reports of Indigenous people being questioned and detained during immigration sweeps. At least 15 Indigenous people in Arizona and New Mexico have reported being stopped at their homes and workplaces. Hold on. At their homes and workplaces, questioned or detained by federal law enforcement and asked to produce proof of citizenship during immigration raids since Wednesday, according to Navajo Nation officials. The reports, which have caused panic among tribal communities in both states, come amid the Trump administration's attempt to ramp up on undocumented immigrant arrest. Okay. The reported raids and the exact number of Navajo and other Indigenous tribal citizens who were apprehended are still under investigation. It is even unclear if Immigration and Customs Enforcement or other law enforcement entities were conducting the apprehensions. ICE has not responded. Navajo Nation officials have contacted the Department of Homeland Security, blah, blah, blah. All right, so all it says is my office has received multiple reports from Navajo citizens that have had negative and sometimes traumatizing experiences with federal agents targeting undocumented immigrants in the Southwest. Okay, so one person got scooped up in a raid because, as they told CNN, they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. But once they presented their tribal identification and were questioned, they were let go because they were not the intended target. Then another person says, CNN was told she received a report from the family of a Navajo woman who said she was questioned by ICE and asked to show proof that she was Native after her workplace was raided Wednesday morning. What do you guys expect? You've opened the door and let in 30 million people from worldwide, okay? So let me explain this to you. What's going to happen is if you, even white people, get ready. If you're in an area, a sanctuary city or state that has allowed millions of immigrants illegally into that state, and you're working at a place that has hired a bunch of illegals, there's a chance you might get caught up in a raid, folks. Keep your identification on you. It's not that big of a deal. It's not traumatizing to have somebody say, hey, excuse me, can you show me your identification? When you get pulled over for speeding, you have to show your identification. When you go to the bank, you show your identification. When you vote in every state but California, you have to show your identification. So, I mean, I love you guys with all my heart, but show your identification. This is what happens when 30 million illegal people enter your country. That's a lot of people. There's only like 400 million Americans. To put it in context, people. So for the next couple of weeks and months, as they round up these illegal people, you might get questioned, especially if you're working somewhere that has hired a lot of them, or you're in a state that is full of them. I'm not saying it's okay to be harassed. So don't go put the offended shoes on and wad those panties up. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying put it in perspective. You live in Arizona or New Mexico. You have millions of illegal aliens and a huge drug problem and gang problem. So you're Native American and you're walking down the street or you're at work and ICE raids the place you work. Why would you be afraid? You're American. Pull out your ID, friend. I mean, like, I don't understand why it's so hard for people to be like, hey, I'm American. Leave me the hell alone. I pay taxes. I actually have a social security number. Look, here I am. This is me. So guys, look, I mean, this is called Soros and everyone else trying to make it a bigger deal than it is. They want everybody to be upset. They want everybody being offended. Oh my gosh. You know, I'm First Nation and I went to work and I got questioned, was I American? They've let the entire Central America in. I mean, ICE can't look at you and tell what ethnicity you are. If you looked at me, could you tell that I was 6% Black? No. No. You look at my son, who is Sicilian, and you would think that he would be Cuban or something else because he's that color. So my kid lives in Tampa. He's a military. He's in military. I have no doubt when they start doing raids there, if my kid gets caught up in one, he's going to have to produce that ID because he doesn't look American. What does American look like? You can't have it both ways. You can't say Americans look this way, so everybody else gets carded. So they have to card everybody. It doesn't matter what you look like. If you're working in a business or you get caught up at a checkpoint, every single person is going to be asked for their ID because what does American look like? Do you see my point? ICE doesn't know what America looks like. There are third and fourth generation legal Chinese in this country. There are Cubans legally in this country. They're American. There are people genetically from Mexico in America that are American. So all of us, including myself, if I'm driving through New Orleans and there's an ICE checkpoint, they're going to say, ma'am, I need to see your identification. I mean, like, it's normal. It's okay. It's part of cleaning out your country. Because guess what? There's a lot of illegal Ukrainian people that look just like me in this country. A lot of illegal Russians that look just like me in this country. So they're going to card white. They're going to card Black. They're going to card Hispanic. They're going to card Indian. They're going to card Chinese, Asian. It doesn't matter. You're going to have to produce identification. Deal with it. I mean, this is how it's going to work. I don't know who that person is, Leslie, but maybe you can get rid of that 420 person. I don't know. They're irritating everybody else, it looks like. I mean, I don't know how we get so many trolls on here, but I guess it's because that generation doesn't know how to have like a decent conversation. All right, let's talk about Trump declassifying records concerning the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Senator Robert F. Kennedy, and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So he signed this January 23rd, 2025. Thank you, Leslie. And it says here that they only have 15 days from the day that he signed it to release everything pertaining to these 3 assassinations. Now, when he was president the first time, he asked for a bunch of stuff to be released, and they redacted a bunch of the names and they hid a bunch of the files. And then Biden became president. And it says here on whitehouse.gov, you can go look it up yourself, read the whole thing. It's very interesting. It says President Biden issued subsequent certifications with respect to these records in 2021, 2022, and 2023, which gave agencies additional time to review the records and withhold information from public disclosure. In other words, Joe Biden tried to hide information from American citizens. It says, now, I have now determined that the continued redaction and withholding of information from records pertaining to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy is not consistent with the public interest, and the release of these records is long overdue. And although no act of Congress redirects the release of information pertaining to the assassinations of Senator Robert F. Kennedy and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., I have determined that the release of all records in the federal government's possession pertaining to each of these assassinations is also in the public interest. It says, within 15 days of the date of this order, the Director of National Intelligence and the Attorney General shall, in coordination with the Assistant to the President for National Security Affairs and the Counsel to the President, present a plan to the President for the full and complete release of records relating to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. We're finally going to get the truth. Within 45 days of the date of this order, the Director of the National Intelligence and the Attorney General shall, in coordination with all these other people, review records related to the assassinations of Senator Robert F. Kennedy and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and present a plan to the President for the full and complete release of the records. All of them. Every phone call, everything. It says this order shall be implemented consistent with applicable law and subject to the availability of appropriations. This order is not intended to and does not create any right or benefit, substantive or procedural, enforceable at law or in equity by any party against the United States, its departments, agencies, or entities, its officers, employees, or agents, or any other person. The White House, January 23rd, 2025. We do deserve the truth. We absolutely do. And we're going to get it. We are going to get it. So I wanted to show you guys, somebody tried to tell me the other day on my cute winter boots video that I was over exaggerating. They did not mean weapons. Really? Really? They didn't mean weapons?
Moving up and down again. There's no discharge, Kevin.
It says here, I keep seeing cute winter boots. Get strapped up. Get strapped up. What does get strapped up mean? If not weapons. Come on, you guys. Come on now. We can do better than that. Now, this one. Let me find it. This one made me laugh. He was funny. I like him.
And you think to yourself, we'll be fine. And then you remember your mother-in-law came into this country illegally. And then you start to worry. what's going to happen to that woman who lives at 464 King David Street, apartment B, behind a tire shop?
Thank you.
What would you guys do if she got deported? What will your wife do without that woman who reminds her every day that she could have done so much better than you? Oh my God. Oh God, I just can't fathom it. The woman at 464 King David Street, apartment B. The gate's never locked. She's usually home after bingo. It's a red Chevy Cruze, but please, I am so concerned that our family would never be back to normal without her. The woman at 464 King David Street, apartment B. Her incidents in the fridge. Please don't touch the tamales in the freezer, but sure, she has a walker, but she doesn't need it. It's just for her to get pity. Oh, God, no.
This Mardi Gras.
I wonder how many men are doing that right now, you guys. Hey, everybody. Look, Stephen just got home for lunch. I'm done for the day. We've talked about constitutional law, executive orders, and the fact that people want to be offended because now everybody has to be carded to figure out who is American and who is illegal. Get over it. We want our country back. Pull out your ID. Suck it up, Buttercup. It's an ICE check. If you're here legally, you ain't got nothing to worry about. Pull out your little ID, flash it at the ICE officer, give him a thumbs up, telling him thank you for making America safe again, and get on with your life. Love you guys. Be blessed.